Hello, this is Sheshachalam from Astroguide Mysore. So today we are doing the combination of Saturn Ketu, and with this we will be finishing the combinations of two planets as a set starting from Sun, Moon, that is Amavasya, and till Saturn Ketu. So all the sets are available in the combination of planets playlist. So Saturn, a planet very decent, sober. So if it is weak, shabby, a person with humpbacks, bent, you can see two different characters: an army officer with a straight, upright, extremely decent posture, and a person with crooked, difficulties, going through sorrow. So Saturn can be either this or that. So we have the combination of Saturn Ketu in front of us today. We'll discuss that in a certain detail, because this is also once again like Saturn Rahu. This takes a lot of time, and this is a huge subject. So going ahead, Ketu, when we are merging with Saturn, we should understand this particular sentence when I was taught by my gurus. Kujavat Ketu, Shanivat Rahu. That is, Shani is like Rahu, or Rahu is like Saturn, and they both are like planets having certain common traits. And Saturn and Ketu are something like Saturn and Mars, because Kujavat Ketu. So Ketu has certain traits like Mars. So when Ketu usually never goes into a fight or a fit of anger, it's always a very peaceful, a silent planet, a mute planet. But once it gets into the mode of revenge, Ketu and Saturn combination is a very vicious combination, and that I have written about it. So let me come one by one into the details of Saturn and Ketu. So these people who are born under this Saturn Ketu, let us take it as in the ascendant. See, this particular thing, I am not doing it as I did Venus Ketu with all the 12 houses. This I am doing it with, a different way. So it all depends on how we sit and do our research. So a person who has very less emotions, who does not easily break down, who has a strong resolve as to what to do. If Saturn and Ketu are very strongly posited in a chart, then the person will be extremely pointed in his way of tackling situations, but he will never give it away. Like, you will not be able to find out what actually he is up to and who those people are. These people are called as spies, detectives, officers of, in not in uniform, but they are in some sting operations, undercover agents. And if the same thing goes the other way around, the same people, if it is badly posited, can get into stealing, robbing, thieves, bank thefts, frauds, embezzlement. You will not be able to easily identify these people, because they will look as normal as any other person in the society, but they will be doing all this. So fraudsters. So the combination is it has a very thin line. So people, please do not unnecessarily interpret things which are not required without understanding the strength of Saturn and Ketu. So if Saturn is in any way positive, so this person can work in a very tough environment, cold, windy, dusty, tough environments, and they can do excellent with regard to their job. They can work in conditions where there is no choice in food, or there is very less option in food. Like, for example, Like for example, working in the army, going for a particular posting. Like in India, we have postings like Siachen, cold, freezing postings, the highest altitude, which has been protected by Indian soldiers. Hats off to those people. They are great. Anytime I think about them, the body, the shiver runs through my body. What a tough ordeal they are going through. The ordeal of food, there is no shelter, there is nothing. They have to be in a suit which is precisely made only for the Siachen glacier. So, and they cannot stay there for 3 or 4 months. I don't know exactly if any officer is listening to this, who has been into that particular area, can please give us the details, how tough it is. So, once again, I respect them, hats off to them. Because of them, we are all having our happy night's sleep. So, they are going through tough time. And these type of people who have a strong resolve, it is like the skin. The word of their skin is called resilience. It's not sensitive, not emotional. Resilience. They have that resolve, a strong resolve of a person who knows why he is doing it, what he is he doing, and what importance is given to his sacrifice. So people who know how to sacrifice and they go to lengths to do that service. This is an extremely strong combination of a person who can live on meager parcels as a meal, cold, stale food, repetitive food, because they do not have any luxury there. And I'm not talking only about Siachen. Like go to many other places where people go to Antarctica, they go on research. They don't do party there, so they need to have a very they have a small window of time every day, but they need to finish their research. So people who are going through hardships, people who are digging tunnels, people who are in mines with dust, smoke, no smoke, but cold, damp water, dark ravines. So these people who are doing all this, like oil pipeline diggers, people who are installing oil pipelines, they live in a very harsh environment. And Saturn Ketu is the planetary combination which can give a very strong attitude to be able to do this. If you ask me, I cannot do that. No chance. Yeah, I will fail the first day. If I go to Siachen, that's it. You'll have to carry me back. Pack me and carry me back. It's impossible because not everybody has that strength. So hats off to them. So once again, they can come into the other level, that they can be working for animal rehabilitation services and work in remote areas. Like I have many charts where people are working in oil refineries off the coast. They go 6 months, they work 24 bar 7. And people who are in space stations. So people who are in remote areas but doing their job, and they do not even rest for a single minute or a day. These people come under Saturn and Ketu. So spies, detectives, I have done this, remote, uninhabited places, and yeah. So they can work for NGOs, they can head religious organizations, and they can own them also. That is, they can start their NGOs and they can do a great job of service to this world. And as I said earlier, there are negatives also. A lot of negatives in this combination. Like for example, um, cutting and part of organs which are a part of a medical examination for biopsy, like for example a tumor, it has to be taken out. You have to drill, If it is in the brain, you have to drill, cut open the skull. I don't know other procedures, but still, they go inside, with the forceps. They put a probe. All computers are there nowadays, so AI is assisting. So they go there, they cut open that particular part, remove the tumor, and removing of uterus, removing of the appendicitis, removal of the gallbladders, partial pancreas are cut and they are removed, or we have infected livers cut partially. Even thyroid, goiter is it's handled by removing a partial piece of the thyroid gland and then again giving them supplements. So there are many operations which are done where you need to go inside without major operations, but you can do it through laparoscopy, and most of these are done by laser and laparoscopic treatments, which are clearly listed down with Ketu and Saturn also, because Saturn means all that goes waste. This also comes under Saturn. All that is old, aged, stale, rank, smelly, all these things come under Saturn also. It doesn't mean that Saturn only has a decent person standing as an army officer. That is also there. You need to see all the signification of Saturn. So, significations of Saturn. So, they do not, sometimes if this goes wrong with the attitude, the people, who have this in the ascendant, with a bad combination, let us say a very weak Mercury or an afflicted moon along with this combination, they do not think other people as human beings. The emotions will die out and they treat them very cruel and inhuman ways. Okay, so you have seen that human being has been the worst enemy for the human being, not the animals. Animals are great. The problem is animals only attack when they are threatened. They mostly don't attack for food, because human beings are tasteless beings. So they don't attack for food. They attack us because they are threatened. But human beings are attacking human beings. This has been an age old story. And we all know what all happened in the genocide, in the um, periods where human beings were tortured very inhumanly. The gas chambers. I don't want to go into the Sobibor episode. So, yeah. So Saturn Ketu can make a person be in that place. That is a weak, afflicted Saturn Ketu can go to extremes of able to control emotions and give pain to others. Sadistic people. So, amputations because of different kinds of things. I told you internal operations and samples and tumors removed. Amputations are external when there has been some accidents, gangrenes, something like that. You have to ampute. So these happen, and acid attacks, a very deadly statement. That people who are cowards will, people who don't have a spine in their backbone, those people do all this nonsense. And deadly accidents which happen, we are seeing that metallic pieces coming and severing or cutting or something like that. So this talk is like this because it is Saturn Ketu. I am not talking Moon and Venus. I'm not talking Moon and Venus. I am talking Saturn Ketu. I need to tell all this. So disfigurement, etc. So yeah. Though we don't like to talk about these things, but sometimes these things have to be said, because in the event of learning things, you need to learn everything. So Saturn Ketu can be vicious when a person becomes vengeful. So that means if a person takes a revenge, he will be extremely vicious, very tough to handle this person or get away from him or escape from him. So never get involved with people. Anyway, you will not know you because you will not have the horoscope when you are fighting with a person. So, as I told you, they dedicate their lives and for service and upliftment of the old aged, downtrodden, destitutes, and they are like I was giving an example earlier. Also, I have given this example. So I knew a person who was one of my father's colleagues, a old age man. At that time, he was middle aged when I was in school. So I know this person. He was always in a very modest, very simplistic dress. So he was working in the factory. So he is the guy who was known to have attended thousands of funerals by donating for the funeral and by being with the family for a day or so. And why does he do it? Because they're all strangers. He has nothing to do with them. But he felt that people need support. So he would work for them. It's not that he would sit there for free meals. So please. So he would work for them. He would run around for arrangements. Like you need to have the van for the transportation, you need to have certain things required for the cremation. He would run for them. He would also be one of the persons who would lift the coffin or lift the pyre. So what I was trying to tell here is they don't see anything, the status, the pride, the prejudice, everything fails in front of Saturn Ketu. These people can live the most simplest of lives. And this combination, if it is sitting in the 11th house, can give an extremely strong sannyasa yoga, hatha sannyasa yoga. So, and same sannyasa yoga is not such a cheap and easily getting affair. Saturn and Ketu strongly posited in the 11th house can give sannyasa yoga. Weakly posited, that fellow will be begging on the streets. He is not having any knowledge, but just a beggar. So all beggars are not sannyasis. And don't ever call a sannyasi a beggar. This I spoke yesterday also. So that whenever Ketu comes, I think this particular point comes into discussion. So one can end up as a refugee. Imagine after Bhuj, the earthquake, or the earthquake which happened in Nepal, or the earthquake which happened in the Indian province which is occupied by Pakistan, the Pakistan occupied Kashmir. There was a huge earthquake, and this earthquake um saw many people suddenly becoming homeless. So to suddenly become homeless, stand in a queue, even a rich zamindar, what they call there, or what we call a landlord. Yeah, the rich landlord standing with his, labor or servant in the same queue for a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, hot tea, was seen. So it will remove all shackles. Imagine people, we have, it is not realistic. It is a false prestige that covers up our outer layer and unnecessarily is trying to take over us as it is an identity which is a makeover for us. All that will simply get peeled off like we are peeling potatoes. And finally, what is there? We are bare naked truth we are going to face. That is Saturn and Ketu. The last of the combinations which will show the exit. Saturn and Ketu, old age and exit. So one can end up homeless, refugees. So you need to understand this placement. It should be a strong negative placement to put you in such a sudden jeopardy. So in jail, if this is associated with a positive negative placement, so like placements of Sun, Saturn, and Ketu in the 12th house. Jupiter, Saturn, Ketu. I am not telling that people who are having that will end up in jail. Please try to understand. Becoming lonely, solitude, feeling lonely, feeling alone is also somewhat more dangerous. You get into a lot of um, loneliness in certain time of your life. So it's not that people will all with this combination will go behind bars, nothing like that. So don't take that into your brain. So problems of medical problems, let me start talking about medical problems. Small ailments like problems in the toes. The toe starts bending inside, the toe of the leg starts bending inside, and you get a protruded bone out, and you have inward growth of the nail, arched heel or flat heel problems, sole problems, and problems of neurological disorders in the leg, because all the nerve endings and the vein capillary endings are there. Particularly the nerve endings are all in the sole, and that is why people do the foot massage, because it feels good when you press those positions. All these acupressure and all those, these all magnetotherapy, acupressure, acupunctures, they work fantastically well when these particular points are very well massaged or taken care of medically by good experts. So spur growth in bone joints, in foot corns. The nails or the corns which keep coming because of the nails and corns which are coming in the leg is also taken as something like as an immune disorder nowadays, but we don't know how much it is fully established. So stale food comes under this particular thing. Joint movements don't happen so flexibly, they get frozen joints like frozen shoulders. It all depends on where this position is, this particular combination is posited. And people who are working with this combination will be anesthetist, a person who gives anesthesia, hypnotists, prosthetic limb manufacturers, tunneling, mining, and orthopedic surgeons, corrective surgeries of the colon, rectum, and the anus. Because this particular part of the body is fully represented by Saturn, because it represents the particular chakra, the Mooladhara chakra. So if you go through my classes for chakras, you will understand that my own theory is different. I differ a little bit from the main theories, because I take Sun from starting from here and I go down to Saturn. I go in one series: Sun, Moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter for the stomach, navel is Venus, and then the anus. There is a Mooladhara chakra for Saturn, and then I take the aura for Ketu, which is non-body but the body of a person which is outside the body. That is the aura. That is ethereal body, which is taken by Ketu, and the body fluid and what we have amassed, the mass, is taken over by Rahu. So Stula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, and the real Sharira has been split up into chakras. So this chakras also I will be adding on. So you please read that and go through that video. You will understand that this video will make sense, that people who are having Saturn and Ketu will also be doing you know such and such kinds of jobs, or they will be surgeons for the colon, or rectum, or fissure, or whatever anal surgery. They will be either doctors or victims, depending on where it is placed and how strong it is placed or weakly placed. Okay, so as I told you that cold storage and freezers and manufacturers of you know AC ducts, wherever you get dry cold air. So these things are all seen from this particular combination. So interreligion marriage. Yeah. We did not touch the point of marital relationships. So Saturn and Ketu usually gives marriages of unconventional in nature.
Not only caste, but
It might be inter-religion, inter-race, and intercontinental. So, thank you very much for today's class.